All right, so today we're diving deep into Coinbase Global, ticker symbol COIN, ACN. It's the biggest cryptocurrency exchange in the US. And with all the craziness happening in the crypto world, we're going to try to figure out if COIN is a good investment or not. We've got a ton of research to help us with this. Financial reports, market analyses, even some stuff from Coinbase's own blog.
Yeah, it's kind of wild what's happening out there. We're not just looking at a company here, we're looking at what might be the leader of the whole crypto industry.
Exactly. So let's start with the basics. What exactly does Coinbase do? I mean, we know it's a crypto exchange, but is there more to it?
Well, at first glance, Coinbase is a platform where you can buy, sell, and store crypto. Bitcoin and Ethereum are their most popular ones, but there's a whole lot more going on under the hood. They've actually built a complete ecosystem around crypto.
Oh, interesting. We found out they have Coinbase Pro for the more seasoned traders, a really easy-to-use wallet app. Coinbase Prime for the big institutions. They even have a Coinbase Visa debit card. It seems like they're trying to cater to everyone, huh?
Yeah, for sure. That's a big part of their strategy. They want to make crypto easy for everyone, not just the techie people who got in early. By offering all these products and services, they're hoping to attract a much bigger audience. And that could really help push crypto into the mainstream.
Makes sense. It's like they're building the on-ramp to the crypto superhighway. And speaking of making crypto easier to use, I was surprised to learn that Coinbase is the company behind USD Coin. That stable coin that's pegged to the US dollar. Can you explain what that is and why it's such a big deal?
So think of stablecoins like a bridge between the regular financial system and the crazy world of crypto. USD coin, or USDC, always stays at a value that's tied to the US dollar. This really helps reduce that crazy volatility that crypto is known for. A lot of people who aren't sure about the ups and downs of Bitcoin or Ethereum find this really appealing.
So it's kind of like having the stability of the dollar, but with all the cool benefits of blockchain technology. That's pretty smart. And for investors, wouldn't that appeal to a much larger group of people? Which could be really good for Coinbase's profits.
Absolutely. The growth of USD coin is definitely something to watch. It could be a huge moneymaker for Coinbase in the future.
Okay, so we're starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the people running the show. Coinbase has a pretty impressive management team, don't they?
Oh, yeah, for sure. The CEO, Brian Armstrong, has a strong background in software engineering.
Yeah.
That's super important in an industry that's driven by technology. The president and COO, Emily Choi, has a lot of experience in corporate development. And the CFO, Alicia Haas, knows a ton about finance. These aren't just some crypto fans trying to figure it out as they go. They're seasoned professionals with a history of success.
Right, they've got the experience and the smarts to navigate this crazy and ever-changing world. But have they actually been successful at doing that? I mean, the crypto market has been anything but stable over the past few years.
That's true, and it's definitely been a tough test for Coinbase's leadership. But looking at the research, they've been really good at steering the ship through some pretty rough waters. Remember the market crash back in 2020 when the pandemic hit?
Oh yeah, that was a wild ride for everyone, not just in the crypto world.
Exactly. But what's really impressive is how Coinbase responded. They were proactive about controlling costs, they were transparent with their users, and they focused on making money in different ways.
Yeah.
They came out of that downturn in a pretty strong position.
So they've shown they can bounce back. That's a good thing for investors.
Yeah.
But being a good leader is about more than just reacting to the market, right?
Yeah.
What about their long-term vision?
Well, one thing that really stands out is their commitment to shaping crypto regulation. They've been working directly with policymakers, pushing for clear and responsible guidelines. They seem to understand that for crypto to really go mainstream, there need to be clear rules. Rules that encourage innovation, but also protect consumers.
That's a really good point. A lot of people are hesitant to invest in crypto because the regulations are still so uncertain. If Coinbase can help create clear rules for everyone, that could be a total game changer.
Totally agree. And on top of that, they've been very committed to transparency. They do things like their annual transparency reports, and they have a strong code of business conduct and ethics. They're setting a high standard for the entire industry.
Okay, so we've talked about what Coinbase does, we've looked at their leadership, and we've seen their commitment to creating a responsible and transparent crypto world. But now, let's get down to the nitty-gritty, the financials. From what I've seen, Coinbase has had some pretty impressive growth. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows, is it?
No, it's definitely more complicated than that. While Coinbase has seen big revenue growth, it's important to remember that they're tied to the crazy crypto market. Their revenue is directly affected by trading volume and crypto prices, and those can change like the wind.
Right, so their success kind of depends on things they can't control. Definitely something for investors to think about. But let's dig into the numbers a little more. What do their financials tell us about how healthy and stable they are? Let's take a look at some of the key numbers. Our research shows that Coinbase has a market cap of $70.55 billion.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty healthy, right? But then their price to earnings ratio, or PE, is at 48.1 something. That seems kind of high.
Yeah, it's definitely on the higher end. A high PE ratio usually means that investors are expecting big growth in the future. But it can be risky. If that growth doesn't actually happen, the stock could be considered overvalued.
So there's definitely some risk there, especially because Coinbase relies so much on trading volume and those fluctuating crypto prices.
For sure. But to be fair, Coinbase hasn't just been sitting around. They've been working hard to diversify their revenue streams. They're not just relying on transaction fees anymore.
Oh yeah, that's right. We touched on that earlier. They have things like staking rewards, interest income, and subscription fees. It's like they're building multiple ways to support their business.
Exactly. They're not putting all their eggs in one basket, so to speak. And this strategy seems to be working. Even with all the ups and downs in the market, Coinbase has stayed profitable. They've even generated positive free cash flow.
Wow, even during those crypto winters everyone's always talking about. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It seems like they're not just surviving, they're thriving, even when the market gets tough.
You got it. It really shows they're able to adapt and find new ways to grow. And this positive free cash flow gives them a lot of options. They can invest in new products, expand into new markets, or even buy back their own shares, which, by the way, they recently announced a $1 billion program to do just that.
$1 billion. That's a pretty big sign of confidence from management, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. It tells us they believe the stock is undervalued and they're in a good position for future growth. But of course, we can't forget about the competition. Coinbase isn't the only player in the crypto exchange game.
So true. There are some huge names out there trying to grab market share. Binance, Kraken, FTX, Crypto.com. It's getting pretty crowded in the crypto world, isn't it?
It definitely is. And each platform has its own strengths and weaknesses. Coinbase's brand recognition, especially in the US, is a big advantage. They've also built a strong reputation for following regulations. That's really important for a lot of users, especially those who are new to crypto and want a platform they can trust.
But I've heard that some of their competitors offer lower fees. Doesn't that put pressure on Coinbase to keep their prices low?
It does. For example, Binance is known for its low fees and a wider selection of cryptocurrencies. That makes it appealing to traders who are watching their pennies. Then you have Kraken, which caters to more experienced traders with its advanced features and sophisticated platform. And FTX has really carved out a space for itself in derivatives trading.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all market. Each platform is attracting a different kind of user.
Exactly. And for anyone thinking about investing, it's crucial to understand where Coinbase fits in this competitive landscape. How are they going to keep their market share with all this competition?
Okay, so we've got a good understanding of Coinbase's business model, their management team, their financial situation, and their competition. But what about the bigger picture? How do people feel about Coinbase's future? Are investors feeling bullish, bearish, or just plain confused?
Well, there's definitely a feeling of optimism out there. Analyst price targets are ranging from $170 all the way up to $420, which, suggests there's potential for the stock to go up. The recent upward trends seem to be driven by a few things, like positive developments on the regulatory front and the increasing adoption of stablecoins, especially USD coin.
Right, and couldn't the pro-crypto stance of the incoming Trump administration also be playing a role?
Yeah, that could definitely be a factor. A more favorable regulatory environment would certainly make investors feel more confident.
Okay, so it seems like the market is betting on Coinbase's continued growth. But who's actually placing those bets? What does Coinbase's ownership structure look like?
Well, a big chunk of Coinbase shares are held by institutional investors, big guys. Vanguard and BlackRock are the major players there. This tells us that large, well-established financial institutions see value in Coinbase over the long term.
That's interesting. Does that level of institutional ownership make Coinbase more stable? Or could it create other risks?
It can definitely provide some stability. These institutions tend to take a long-term view with their investments. However, it also means that Coinbase's stock price can be swayed by the decisions of these big shareholders.
So kind of a double-edged sword. And speaking of potential risks, we'd be doing our listeners a disservice if we didn't talk about the challenges Coinbase faces. Every investment has its downsides. Coinbase is no exception. Maybe a SWOT analysis could help us figure things out.
Yeah, a SWOT analysis is a really useful way to look at a company's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Let's start with the good stuff, the strengths. Coinbase has a lot going for it. Strong brand recognition, especially in the US. A good reputation for following regulations. A user-friendly platform. It appeals to both newbies and experienced investors. And a diverse range of products and services to meet different needs.
That's quite a list. But what about the other side of the coin? Where are they vulnerable?
Well, one weakness is their dependence on trading volume and crypto prices. Like we discussed earlier, their revenue is tied to the unpredictable crypto market. Investors need to be aware of that.
Makes sense. They're riding the crypto wave, which can be exciting and scary all at the same time. What other weaknesses do they have?
They're facing some intense competition. We talked about that before. It's crucial for Coinbase to keep their fees competitive and keep innovating to stay ahead of the game.
Okay, so competition is always nipping at their heels. What about opportunities? Where can they expand or grow their business?
The potential for institutional adoption of crypto is huge. Coinbase is in a great position to take advantage of that. They're also expanding their products and services, particularly in areas like staking services and derivatives trading.
Those are areas where some of their competitors are already pretty strong, right?
True. But Coinbase has that brand recognition and a big user base, so they can definitely compete. And don't forget the continued growth of stablecoins like USD Coin. That could be a big moneymaker for them down the road.
Okay, so it sounds like there are plenty of opportunities out there. But what about threats? What should Coinbase be worried about?
Regulatory uncertainty is a major one. Even though Coinbase is working to shape those regulations, some unfavorable rules could really hurt their business. Cybersecurity is another big concern. The crypto world is a magnet for hackers. A security breach could damage Coinbase's reputation and make users lose trust.
So there's some real risks to think about, but we've also seen a lot of positives. So what's the bottom line? Should people buy Kwine, sell it, or hold on to it?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Ultimately, it comes down to each individual investor. They need to consider their own risk tolerance and what their investment goals are. Coinbase is a leader in a rapidly growing industry, an industry that could completely change the game. They have a strong brand, diverse offerings, a solid track record, and a proactive approach to regulation and transparency. But they also operate in a very volatile and unpredictable market, and they're facing fierce competition and regulatory uncertainties.
So it's a high-risk, high-reward situation. Investing in Coinbase is basically a bet on the future of crypto. And like any bet, there's potential for big wins and big losses.
Exactly. Investors need to carefully weigh those risks and rewards before making any decisions. And remember, we're not financial advisors. Always do your own research and talk to a qualified professional before investing.
Great advice. We've covered a ton of ground today, from Coinbase's business model and leadership to their financials, market sentiment, ownership structure, and potential risks and opportunities. It's been a fascinating deep dive into a company that's right at the forefront of the crypto revolution.
And if you want to dig deeper, we've got links to all the sources we used in the description below. Definitely check them out and form your own opinions.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Coinbase, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Stock Analytics AI. We've got more insightful analysis of companies that are shaping the future of finance and tech.
We use the power of AI to uncover hidden trends and make complex topics easy to understand. And just a reminder, Stock Analytics AI does not provide financial advice. Our content is for informational and educational purposes only.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of Coinbase. We want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about the company and its future? Share your predictions and insights in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious.